moment of silence, the memorial for David B. Crabio and Teresa Caza, wife of Richard Caza, Public Health Department. And as we begin this moment of silence, I would like to ask that we remember our friend, our former freeholder director, David B. Crabio, and we pass into eternal rest last December 1st. Dave was a good leader, a great man, and he certainly left a mark on Middlesex County. At this time, we'll remember us in a moment of silence and prayer for our troops also. John Wright, allegiance and the pledge of allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
The notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-10, has been complied with and shall be entered into the minutes of this meeting.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Barrett.
Here.
Freeholder Polos. Freeholder Rafano.
Here.
Freeholder
Freeholder Polis will be ladies at the Governor's Mansion's house.
Yes. Freeholder Rafano.
Here.
Freeholder Rios.
Here.
Freeholder Scott. Here. Freeholder Valenti.
Here.
Freeholder Director Delina.
Here. Okay, we'll go to the reports of freeholders. Freeholder Carol Barrett.
Yes. Middlesex County has just received approval from the State of New Jersey Department of Community Affairs for an economic stimulus grant of $623,375 from the American Reinvestment and Recovery Act's Homeless Prevention and Rapid Rehousing Program. These funds will be used to assist individuals and families to exit shelter programs and enter permanent housing, and to prevent individuals and families from becoming homeless through financial assistance and case management. And this grant is in addition to a federal economic stimulus grant that was previously received in the amount of $800,475. And this is really wonderful news for the people of Middlesex County. Also, as liaison to the Open Space Advisory Committee, I would like to urge my fellow freeholders to pass Resolution 09-2076, which would increase the amount we receive in state green acre funds by $2 million. This would bring the total to $8,750,000 in state funding that would come to the county. The county is actively pursuing 1,100 more acres of open space to add to our preserved lands. By accepting these individual and additional state funds, we will be able to take advantage of the currently low land prices and preserve more precious land in the county. It is important to add that there will be no additional cost to the taxpayers. The long-term benefits of open space are immeasurable. Each piece of property we can preserve will add to the beauty of our county and increase the quality of life for all of our residents. Also this evening, Resolution 09-2076 would authorize a $500,000 grant from the Middlesex County Open Space and Recreation Trust Fund to help fund improvements to Sullivan Field at Carteret Park in the borough of Carteret. I ask my fellow freeholders to pass this resolution. The field is actively used by local Babe Ruth League, several local men and women softball teams, and school teams, and is open to the public when it is not reserved for league play. This is just the first phase that would be included in a complete reconstruction of the sports fields, including synthetic turf and drainage, the construction of dugouts, new benches, a fence, and many other amenities. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion by Carol Barrett on that field in Carteret. We have a motion?
Motion.
We'll defer that.
We'll defer it
That
for
after a
the...
while? Okay, good.
Thank you. I
Okay,
just
good.
wanted to remind you to vote yes.
Okay. I thank you. I thank you for reminding me. This time Jim Paulus is not here. We will go to Freeholder Krista D. Rufano, Deputy Director of the Freeholder Board.
Thank you, Director. A couple quick things to report on. I've been advised that the National Safety Council announced the winners of the new Teen Driver or Driving Safety Leadership Award, and I mention that because one of those recipients is the New Jersey Division of Highway Safety because of the work that they did with the Teen Driver Study Commission, and as the Board is aware, I was a member of that commission, so it certainly is exciting to see this award to the New Jersey Division of Highway Safety. Secondly, as my Freeholder colleagues may recall, earlier this year, Middlesex County received a grant from the state of New Jersey under the Public Archives and Records Infrastructure Support, otherwise known as the Paris Grant, in the amount of $319,000. Of this amount, $280,000 was awarded to assist seven of our municipalities this year in purging their records, which have exceeded the required retention period. We have received a communication from the Borough of South Plainfield indicating that the review of their records has been completed. They have expressed their appreciation to the County of Middlesex for this much-needed assistance and indicated they have requested authorization to destroy more than 400 cubic feet of obsolete records. The remaining municipalities, Carteret, Dunellen, Metuchen, Milltown, South Amboy, and South River, will benefit from a similar review in the coming months. So that's certainly good news, and I know Margaret was very instrumental in that grant. And lastly, I have great news. We have received word that we have received a AAA bond rating from Standard & Poor's, a leading bond rating agency, maintaining that AAA that we had last year, given these are difficult economic times. So it's good news for the county. We are in the top 2% in the country with that bond rating. So that's great news. And one of the reasons, in speaking with our Economic Development Director, what the agency saw was growth, that there's economic growth happening in Middlesex County. Some of the things these past few months, which they looked favorably on, was the fact that Fragistics, a software company with 300 employees, broke ground on a new facility in South Brunswick. A new Sam's Club is expected to open in the third quarter of 2010 at the old Ford plant in Edison. A new hotel is being built on the border of South Brunswick and Monroe Township. A new medical condominium complex is being built in East Brunswick. And a Denver-based company has bought a 167,000 square foot building in Plainsboro. So that's all good news for Middlesex County. And also, I'm pleased to report that Middlesex County's amount of building permits was $2 million higher in the first 8 months of 2009 than it was for the same period in 2008. So clearly there's indication that there is growth happening in Middlesex County. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Freeholder Ronald G. Rejos.
Thank you, Director. As far as my health report goes, the Health Department is aggressively working with local school superintendents in the 21 contracting communities as far as the H1N1 distribution. Obviously, it's an ongoing problem. It's not just isolated to Middlesex County. It's not isolated to New Jersey, but the supply is just slowly coming in and sometimes stopped. But as soon as we get it, we are working with the local superintendents and local school districts to distribute it. It's just a difficult thing that is beyond our control. But again, as soon as we get supplies, we will distribute them. As far as Rutgers Extension Services, our 4-H teens continue to give for the holidays. For 10 years now, the Teen Council Middlesex County's 4-H program have been donating time to make a brighter holiday for others through Project Gift. In December at the 4-H Center in East Brunswick, Project Gift is a day of shopping that allows limited resource families to pick out gifts for their children, free of charge. Transportation as well as refreshments, gift wrapping are all provided for mothers while they attend the Project Gift. And that's something commendable by our 4-H organization and our teens. It just shows you the commitment that we have from our younger people that are living in Middlesex County. I'd like to congratulate our new superintendent of schools for the vocational school system, Brian Laughlin. He will be a complete positive person and an asset to our vocational school system.
and he's came from within. He was assistant superintendent, and he took over on November 25th. And congratulations also to his new assistant, former principal, Mr. Glenn Methner, and he will become assistant superintendent on December 15th. And at this time, I'd like to call on Superintendent Lachlan to come up to the microphone, the podium.
Thank you, Freeholder. I look forward to working cooperatively with you and the entire Freeholder Board. It's kind of coincidental that I'm here tonight and to hear those kind words. Actually, the reason I'm here is to thank the Freeholder Board, particularly Freeholder Rafano and Freeholder Rios. Freeholder Rafano mentioned the safe driving initiative in the state, and we've been working with the Freeholders for several years on teen safe driving. But I'm here particularly this evening to recognize Freeholder Rios. Last year, he had the foresight to approach our district, and he asked us if we would collaborate with him and to develop a teen safe driving initiative countywide called Drive Safe for the Ride of Your Life. Many of the Freeholders attended the kickoff event last October. It was a tremendous success. Among the various activities that we had a play written and produced and performed by our students. We had a series of activities throughout the entire school year, culminating last May during the graduation and prom seasons, reminding our students across the county to drive safe for the ride of your life. The reason I'm here this evening is I wanted to present to Freeholder Rios an award, and it's an award that we at the vocational school would like to share with him. It's an award of excellence. It's the 2009 annual school communications competition, and it's in recognition of the outstanding entry to Drive Safe for the Ride of Your Life program. This award was co-sponsored by New Jersey School Boards Association, the New Jersey Association of School Administrators, and the New Jersey Association of School Business Officials. So I personally wanted to present this to Freeholder Rios and thank him. And I want to also say that we are planning to continue the program for the current year. So Freeholder.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I would just like to say a comment on that. Kudos goes to the students at the school because they were the ones that performed the dramatization, which was totally touching, and it really sent a message to everyone, whether you were a student or an adult in the audience. And hopefully it'll send a message to make sure that they're attentive in driving, whether it be hopefully not under the influence of drugs or alcohol, but attentive to their driving when it comes to texting, cell phone use as far as talking on a cell phone, and also loud music. So congratulations goes to the students because they were the ones that really did a tremendous job. And thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Freeholder Rios. Thank you very much. You did a good job. At this time, I'd like to call on from Piscataway, Freeholder Millie S. Scott. Millie.
Thank you, Freeholder Director. I have one report in reference to a grant that we received from Homeland Security, and it's given back to municipalities. It's called LiveScan, and LiveScan is a means of fingerprinting. Years ago, maybe a century ago, we used to roll prints, and if a police officer stopped someone and they ran them through, they may not have no idea who that person is, maybe for a month, because the prints were rolled. It took maybe a month to come back from the state police or the FBI. Now with the LiveScan, it's computerized, and instantly they know who that person is. And I can remember going back to 1977 when we had individuals stopped on the turnpike. That person was not identified maybe until 2 months later. Had we let that person go, we would have let a dangerous criminal have gone. Now with the LiveScan, we will know instantly whether that person has a record. And the towns that received the LiveScan are Cranberry, Dunellen, Milltown, South Amboy, and Spotswood. This makes 24 municipalities will have the live scan. The only one that does not have it is Helmetta, which eventually you probably will get one, and the Rutgers Police Department. So we have given our officers the tools to run more effectively and efficiently. And I want to thank the Homeland Security for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Freeholder. Our next freeholder from New Brunswick, Blanquita B. Valenti. Blanquita.
Thank you, Freeholder Director. In regard to the Department of Aging, there's a number of resolutions on tonight's agenda involving that department, and these are all grants for various services to our seniors. And also we're still trying to fill all the positions that are available on membership on various committees, especially the Council on Children's Services. This week, Tom Salhammer and I attended a World's AIDS Day observance, which was held at Robert Wood Johnson Hospital at the atrium, and there was an incredible art exhibit by young people from the County Youth Shelter, from the New Brunswick Health Sciences and Technology High School, and Rutgers Prep. And that evening, which I did not attend, of course, it was an evening of spiritual dance, song, and a candlelight service at the Presbyterian Church on Livingston Avenue concluded the events that day. All these events were organized by the Ryan White Planning Council, assisted by staff from the County Department of Human Services. We were one of the sponsors. In late October, President Barack Obama signed the HIV/AIDS Treatment Extension Act, which was running out very quickly, and this reauthorized the Ryan White Grant Program for 4 more years, and it will end in 2013. This act provides health care, medication, and other support services to primarily low-income AIDS and HIV patients. The Middlesex Somerset Hunterdon group was in jeopardy of losing in excess of $2 million in grant funds since the act was scheduled to sunset this year, and the number of living AIDS patients missed the minimum quota by three individuals. And we have to give all the credit for the tremendous work that was done by our own Congressman Frank Pallone and his staff and residents of Middlesex, Somerset, Hunterdon counties who rely on Ryan White HIV programs. And this will they will be able to continue to receive vital health care services. Thousands of lives will be touched by his work, and we're referring to the congressman in this area. And we were very honored to collaborate with him, said Barbara Smith, the manager of the VNA CJ Community Care Alternatives, who worked closely with the congressman's Washington, D.C. office in advancing the legislative initiative. Congressman Pallone recognized that his constituents were in danger of losing services they desperately needed, and proactively worked to detect flaws in the legislation and craft a solution. He's a great advocate for patients and providers alike, and his diligent efforts made the extension of the act possible. So once more, we want to thank our congressman and the Middlesex, Somerset, and Hunterdon counties transitional grant area. Don't forget, it's administered by the Middlesex County Department of Human Services. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Blanquita. On my report, the park scene that we have here tonight on the front over here, if anybody would like to have a copy, it has Joseph celebrating 15 years, starting on December 26th at 2 and 7 p.m., Sunday the 27th at 2 and 7 p.m. All tickets are reserved, and the price of the tickets are only $7. So if you want something, call the box office at 732-246-7469 for tickets. And we have a picture of all the freeholders at Donaldson Park. We're all smiling and everything, okay? If anybody would like to have it, it's a free copy. I know he took it, right? Okay. Madam Clerk, proclamation, commemorative resolutions, and correspondence.
We have several resolutions this evening. The first is recognizing the First Baptist Church of Woodbridge on the occasion of its 100th anniversary, and the following individuals who will be honored on December 5th. Alan Goldsmith of Jewish Renaissance Center, Mayor John McCormick of the Township of Woodbridge, Lee Warren, Principal of Woodbridge High School, and George Uhas, Chief Executive Officer of the Prodigal Foundation. Next is recognizing Edwin J. Keefe, Jr., as he is the 2009 recipient of the Thomas V. Dooley Humanitarian Award, as selected by the Middlesex County AFL-CIO Labor Council. Next is recognizing New Jersey State Trooper Sergeant Carla Thomas of Piscataway for her volunteer efforts in organization of a children's winter coat drive. Next is recognizing the following individuals who will be recognized by New Brunswick tomorrow at their annual event on December 9th. Silverline Windows, recipient of the Public-Private Partnership Award. Reverend Kevin Jones, recipient of the Public-Private Partnership Award. Mickey Landis, Senior Vice President, Regional Manager of Boston Properties, receiving the Distinguished Leadership Service Award. Robert Campbell, Executive Committee Member, retired from Johnson & Johnson, receiving the Lifetime Community Service Award. And the Opportunity for Partnership is receiving the Ronald Gonzalez Memorial Scholarship. Next is recognizing Oscar Arancibia, Anna Goldman, and Francis Wojcik, employees of Raritan Bay Mental Health Center, for their quick response to an emergency situation. And last is recognizing Timothy Von Thune of Monmouth Junction, as he is named the 2010 New Jersey Agricultural Fair Ambassador by the Agricultural Fair Association of New Jersey.
That's it?
Yes.
And you'd like to make your presentation? Okay, Freeholder Rios, you want to make a presentation too?
We need to,
Oh, let me make the motion first. Motion to adopt the commentative resolutions.
Motion.
Motion by
Second.
Rufano, second by Blanquita Valenti. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Freeholder Barrett,
Yes.
Freeholder Rufano,
Yes.
Freeholder Rios,
Yes.
Freeholder Scott,
yes.
Freeholder Valenti,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Delina.
Yes, okay. You ready, Ron?
Freeholder
Scott's
Scott
gonna go first.
Okay. Millie Scott, okay.
I ask Trooper Sergeant Carla Thomas come up, please.
It gives me great honor, on behalf of the Board of Chosen Freeholders, to present you with this resolution. But first of all, we want to thank you for being New Jersey State Trooper. But this resolution goes beyond your duties as a law enforcement officer. And I'd like to read it, but I'd like you to say something because you can go into further detail than I can. Whereas it has come to the attention of the Middlesex County Board of Chosen Freeholders that Sergeant Carla Thomas of Piscataway is worthy of special recognition for her efforts organizing an annual coat drive. And whereas on a cold day in November 2003, Sergeant Carla Thomas' memories of being without a coat as a child prompted her to contact a social worker in Newark. After quickly learning of the high demand for children's winter coats, Sergeant Carla Thomas organized a coat drive. Whereas Sergeant Carla Thomas estimates that she has delivered nearly 1,500 new coats to children in schools in Newark, Trenton, and Camden over the past 6 years. Whereas New Jersey State Police Sergeant Carla Thomas is a 15-year veteran who has served as a road trooper and with the Narcotics Unit and Executive Protection Unit. She currently serves as Grants Program Manager for the Grants Administration Bureau, overseeing $13 million in state and federal grants. And whereas born in Guyana, South America, and raised in Newark, New Jersey, Sergeant Carla Thomas lived in Woodbridge before moving to Piscataway in 1997. Sergeant Carla Thomas holds a bachelor's degree from Rutgers University and a master's degree from Seton Hall. She is a proud mother of 2 children. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Chosen Freeholders of Middlesex County that we do hereby recognize Sergeant Carla Thomas for her community service and commitment to children in need. And you know, Carla, there's a verse that says it's better to give than to receive. And the joy that you get from giving. And they say that the substance and amount, it only means something to the person you're giving to. And I'm quite sure these children and their families have had many warm days because of you. And I want to say thank you on behalf of the board.
She's giving another one too? No, Ronnie's giving him.
We'll watch it on television.
Can you say something?
Sure. Thank you, Freeholder Scott, and thank you to the board. As she mentioned, I started this 7 years ago just based upon a phone call on a very cold day. I remember as a child that, like she said, I didn't have a coat. I had a jacket that couldn't really zip up, and it was really cold. So I placed a call to a social worker at Newark thinking that how many kids could need a coat? Maybe 4 or 5. And she called back 3 hours later with 17 names. So I reached into my pocket and I paid for it that first year. The second year I called back, I figured how many more? 17. She gave me 45 names. And at that point I realized I needed some help. So I went to friends and I explained to them, I have 45 kids. I need to get coats for them. Can you please help me out? And I only had to ask once. 45 coats were given to me within 2 weeks' time, and I've never had to ask for help again. Those people told other people, and those individuals told other individuals, and they now come to me and ask, when is the coat drive? You know, how can I help? And all I have to do is send out an email to that group who have volunteered to help, and they're there. And from the articles, I had 2 articles written about this endeavor, and out of those articles came various emails from people from different walks of life, and it's really touched me. I have retirees who are now wanting to assist by getting coats. I have my coworkers at the NJSP who didn't know what I've done in the past. They're now willing to help. And today I got an email. I was conversing with a gentleman, and he said, well, I'm going to mail you some NFL jackets. And I'm like, NFL jackets? And he says, yeah, I'll mail you 5. I'm like, well, where do you live? I'll come pick them up. And he didn't want to give me his address. He says, I'll mail them to you, to the state police. So I said, let me Google this guy. And I Googled him. He happens to be the senior executive of the NFL, the finance department. And he says, do you have a charitable organization? And I said, actually, I belong to one. He says, don't worry about it. You'll have your coats. So this endeavor, although it started small, I realized that the need has grown over the years. And one thing I do want to say, I don't do it by myself. I have a multitude of individuals that assist me, from my neighbors to my coworkers like at the NJSP, to colleagues in state government, to the community now. So I can't take full credit for this program, but I want to say thank you so much for recognizing it.
Don Rios, Freeholder Rios, do you have a presentation?
I have 3 resolutions here for 3 individuals. See, sometimes we hear and we read in the newspaper bad things about people, but there's good people in this world, just like this young lady that just did with the coats. And we have 3 individuals here that are employees of Raritan Bay Mental Health Center. And it has come to our attention that they did a great deed. While on duty on October 21st, clinical psychologist Oscar Arancibia, Anna Goldman, and Francis Wojcik. Okay, they were working, and they noticed a woman who was choking and unable to breathe due to food lodged in her throat. And whereas Oscar quickly and successfully administered the Heimlich maneuver, Anna Goldman rushed to alert head nurse Francis Wojcik of the situation. And whereas Oscar Arancibia has been an employee at the Raritan Bay Mental Health Center for 27 years, and Anna Goldman has been employed there for 16 years, and Francis was the head nurse at Roosevelt Hospital in Edison for 18 years before joining the Raritan Bay Mental Health Center staff in 2000. A tremendous act that they did, and we can't thank you enough for doing something and stepping up to the plate and not panicking during this situation, because we're very proud of you and honored, and we say thank you and congratulations for a job well done beyond the call of duty. Lori Snyder, Executive Director of the Raritan Bay Mental Health Center, if you'd like to say a few words.
I just wanted to thank the three of you and also say that something like this, where you come in to take a step rather than stand by, changes not just the one person's life that you saved, but also all the people that she's involved in her life. So I really want to thank you, and I think I'm really proud to work with you.
Thank you. We're proud to work
And I
with
think the county is lucky to have you.
Okay, I want to thank you in my colleague's name and myself. I want to thank you, the Freeholders Board, for this honor. And I would like to ask you to continue funding CPR and Heimlich training for the employee, for the county employee. Sooner or later, it will pay off. Okay? Thank you very much.
You have one more, right, Ron?
I have one more. Okay, Mr. Von Thun. It has come to our attention, the Middlesex County Board of Freeholders, that Timothy Von Thun is worthy of special recognition because he has been chosen the 2010 New Jersey Agricultural Fair Ambassador by the Agricultural Fair Association of New Jersey. And he was honored at the Agricultural Fair Association's dinner on Sunday, November 1st. And as the ambassador for his good representation of young people who are active in agriculture in the Garden State, Tim will now visit the state's agricultural fairs in 2010 and promote agritourism. He competed against 8 other people for the 2010 ambassador position and is the first male ever to win the title. So on behalf of the Board of Chosen Freeholders, I'd like to congratulate you and say thank you, and I'm sure you will represent Middlesex County very well. Thank you. Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you for this recognition, and thank you for your continual support of agriculture in Middlesex County and throughout the state of New Jersey. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're especially proud since he's from South Brunswick.
Is there a motion to adopt the commended resolutions? Madam Clerk?
We have the following correspondence this evening. Notices from Public Service Electric and Gas Company to their customers. First is regarding changes in the capital economic stimulus infrastructure and indicating dates, times, and locations for various public hearings, and also a public notice regarding an increase in gas and electric rates, again outlining dates of public hearings, dates, times, and locations. A copy of a resolution from the County of Mercer recognizing November as Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month. A notice from the New Jersey Department of Transportation relative to Amboy Avenue and the U-turn over Route 440 Perth Amboy. Public Information Center will be held on December 11th, 2009 from 4 to 7 p.m. at Perth Amboy High School cafeteria. A resolution from the Middlesex County Mosquito Extermination Commission indicating that a red bud tree was planted in remembrance of Dr. Andrew Forgash at the facility of the Mosquito Extermination Commission, and Dr. Forgash served for 35 years as an appointed commissioner to that board. We have a copy of the 2008 audit report for the Adult Correction Center, and a letter from the Office of the County Controller indicating there are no recommendations contained in the report, and Mr. Kaczynskis recommends acceptance of the report by the board. Minutes of the Solid Waste Advisory Council meeting held November 10th, the monthly financial status report as of November 30th from the Office of the County Controller. From the Middlesex County Utilities Authority, the Solid Waste Division 2010 adopted budget, rate schedule, service charges, and management service fee. And also from the Utilities Authority, the Wastewater Division 2010 adopted budget and schedule of rates. That's it for the regular correspondence, and we have a few items relative to open space. The first is a letter from Robert Spiegel, Executive Director of the Edison Wetlands Association, and he is requesting the county consider providing funding of $750,000 and partnering with Edison Wetlands Association to design and construct an expanded trails and passive recreation project in the area of the Dismal Swamp. A letter from East Brunswick Mayor David Stahl requesting the board consider the purchase of 2 contiguous lots along Riva Avenue that form the estate of Barbara Forder Farm. It's a 28.82 acre property near the East Brunswick Milltown municipal boundary, and the west boundary is Farrington Lake. This property, or the estate, has submitted an application to propose 10 new residential lots, 1 stormwater management lot, 1 farm lot, and 1 lot for the existing home and farm buildings. Mayor Stahl is requesting consideration of funding from the Open Space Fund for this acquisition. A second letter from East Brunswick Mayor David Stahl indicating that there is a neighborhood park located in Pine Ridge section of the township, which is in dire need of rehabilitation due to the age of the equipment and physical challenges of the park as it is multi-level. The township has funded an engineering study, and the design and plans have been completed. Project is ready to proceed. The estimated cost of the renovation should not exceed $1 million, and they're asking not for a specific amount, but for funding of some type from the Open Space Fund. And the last request is from John McCormick, Mayor of Woodbridge, indicating that Woodbridge Township is interested in purchasing the Colonia Country Club with the assistance of Middlesex County through its Open Space Trust Fund, and they are formally applying for assistance for half of the total cost of the purchase and improvements, or $4.5 million, asking that it be spread over 3 years.
That's it, Margaret?
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the correspondence?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Ron Rios, second by Banquita Valenti. All in favor, say aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? None? Okay. Are there any resolutions to be amended?
There are none.
None. Are there any resolutions to be added?
Yes, Freeholder Director, we have 2 resolutions proposed for addition. The first is to amend the Administrative Code of the County of Middlesex to delete Section 3:7-3, the Department of Shared Services, and to create the position of Shared Services Coordinator within the Purchasing Department, which would be new Section 3:5-4D.
So we need a motion on that?
Need a motion?
Need a motion for that resolution. Motion by Rafael,
Second.
second by Carol Barrett. Roll call vote.
Freeholder Barrett,
Yes.
Freeholder Polos,
I have a few questions.
Yes.
Tom, could you just explain, since I haven't seen this, what exactly we're doing to the department and what the responsibilities are going to be of the person that's going to be moving into this new position?
As we discussed on Monday evening, and I believe that I briefed you on Tuesday by telephone, this change in the administrative code eliminates the Department of Shared Services, reaffirms and creates the position of Shared Services Coordinator, which position is now under the auspices of the Purchasing Department. And the specific amendment is to carry forward those changes in our current administrative code.
Well, maybe you could expand upon that a little bit. As the chairman of the area that oversaw the Department of Shared Services, I knew what my responsibilities were as freeholder and what the Director of Shared Services responsibilities were, which were exclusively shared services. So I guess the question I have is what would this new person's responsibilities be? Who would they be reporting to? What would their responsibilities encompass
Again,
specifically?
to attempt to answer your question, Freeholder, again, as discussed on Monday evening and as is contained in the resolution, Section 3:5-4D provides for the title of Shared Services Coordinator. And if you'd like, I'll read into the record those duties which is set forth in the resolution, which it was my understanding that you had because it was sent to you earlier, but I'll read it now. There may be appointed by the Board of Chosen Freeholders a Shared Services Coordinator who shall report to the purchasing agent. The Shared Services Coordinator shall be responsible for the coordination of governmental services between and among county and local governments, school districts, fire districts, and nonprofit entities throughout Middlesex County. The Shared Services Coordinator shall further be responsible to identify, promote, coordinate, evaluate, and create state and regional service applications, and to develop shared services agreements between county, local, and nonprofit entities, including agreements to which the county is not a participant. The Shared Services Coordinator will proactively contact local, district, and nonprofit decision makers to familiarize them with the mechanics of the county's shared services initiatives, serves as a contact person or liaison for various participating entities, identify potential services which could be shared by 2 or more entities, circulate entities to identify potential shared services, and organize shared service forums to discuss shared service opportunities, apply for available state shared service grants, and perform such other duties as may be assigned from time to time by the Board of Chosen Freeholders. That title by this resolution is created, and by resolution is indicated that this person shall creating the position of Shared Service Coordinator within the Purchasing Department, therefore reporting to the department head directly, which is Mr. Garber.
And the purchasing department falls under which freeholder?
Right now, it's Freeholder Delina.
Right now, it's Freeholder Delina, correct.
So Freeholder Delina then will be responsible as the chairman overseeing shared services through the purchasing department to this individual?
Yes, by way our administrative code is currently set up, yes.
The individual that's been identified, I understand, currently is the one who's doing our common sense cooperative purchasing program. Is that correct?
Correct.
Will they continue to be doing those responsibilities? I'm just asking the freeholders. I don't know.
Jack?
The answer is, to your question, I believe, and it was discussed, I thought, on Monday evening, that the person who is assigned to Shared Service Coordinator is responsible for that duty and that duty only. So that, according to our understanding from the Purchasing Department, current duties for Mr. Border will be reassigned within the existing personnel and resources within the department. So that this person will need to be full-time Shared Services Coordinator.
That's what I was trying to understand. So their exclusive responsibility will be
Correct.
shared services?
Correct.
So in that light, given the fact that we have an existing department of shared services, which really is a department of one, is there any reason why the person isn't just being transferred into the existing structure, which we developed 2 years ago, which I've overseen for the last 2 years rather successfully, certainly to the credit of the staff and to the credit of all the people involved, and certainly appreciated the accolades of this board for the last 2 years on our accomplishments. Wouldn't it not be easier just to take the person and transfer them to that existing position rather than having to do an entire administrative code change?
I can answer that,
Please.
Freeholder. There's no intent for you not to remain involved with shared services. Just from an organizational standpoint, it would fall under purchasing. You are still going to be with shared services, and as you have been in the past, very active in shared services. It's just an organizational standpoint that it would fall under purchasing, and quite frankly, it's appropriate under purchasing, which is they're knowledgeable in the area of local public contracts. They're knowledgeable about county government, local government. They handle, obviously, the purchases, the service contracts, professional contract. I mean, they're involved in everything, so it makes sense to fall under that. You're not going to be hindered in any way, shape, or form. You're going to continue, in my mind, doing the job you do with shared services.
Well, that certainly sounds interesting, but Mr. Kelso, that seems largely at variance with what you indicated prior when I asked you who is the shared service coordinator reporting to which department head, and to which department head are they reporting. You indicated it was Freeholder Delina, and I asked you, would Freeholder Delina be the one overseeing shared services, and you answered yes. I'm now hearing that they're not responding, they're not reporting to Mr. Delina, so I think there's some confusion on the part of everyone here as to who's reporting to whom.
Staff reports to the department head, all staff in every department.
Mm-hmm.
I indicated was the Shared Services Coordinator, should this board appoint this coordinator this evening, would report to Mr. Garber, who is the department head.
Yes.
Currently, as our code and our administrative chart is set up, which of course you reevaluate every year, every organization, that particular department is overseen by the Freeholder Director, Freeholder Delina.
I understand.
As I understand, what Freeholder Rafano was indicating is that, notwithstanding that fact, that we would encourage, I believe is what's being stated, you to continue to be involved because of, your involvement in shared services, a lot of the work and effort that you put into that. I think this board is hoping to encourage that. But technically, you're asking me the question of structure. Currently, that structure is that the Freeholder Director is responsible directly for purchasing. But on a day-to-day basis, the Shared Services Coordinator reports to the department head.
Well,
And is provided, because they're being in the department,
Right.
to have the support staff that's available in purchasing that currently under the department that exists, as you've indicated, Department of One, there is no support staff available. And I think the thinking, as I understand it, is that now there's a support staff available for the coordinator to be able to utilize, and it provides some efficiencies for us to be able to reallocate the resources to be able to do that.
right. Well, the
I think, but
individual.
structurally, you're correct. I mean,
Right.
it is directly responsible to the Freeholder Director currently.
The support staff actually, it's funny, without the support staff, the department, as a department, worked extremely well, was highly successful with the individual, and certainly would have been highly successful with the individual who I recommended to the board. What I guess I don't understand is if we're taking an individual, removing them fully from their purchasing responsibilities and making them a shared services director, coordinator, whatever word you'd like to call it, why we're keeping them in a department under a department head reporting to a freeholder, all of whom have nothing to do with shared services, yet you're telling me at the same time you want me to be responsible for the person. So is the person going to be reporting to Jack and then to me every day? Because you see, I think you have to understand how shared services worked so successfully for the last 2 years. The shared services director reported to me directly, and we as a team worked each and every day on the multiple municipal initiatives that we were undertaking, many of which affect many of the towns represented by these freeholders, South Brunswick and Carteret, South River, as an example. So the success there was working with the individual day in and day out, literally full-time on these initiatives, as well as trying to create the other initiatives that involve the counties surrounding our Middlesex County, our cooperative caucus meetings that many of you attended, which helped foster and initiate better communication and new initiatives from counties to counties. So what I'm confused about is who is this individual each day going to come in and report to? Are they going to go to Jack, or are they coming to my office so that we can sit down and brainstorm and discuss what's going to be going on for the day? And if you're telling me, well, why don't we ask that question first?
What, that, want me to answer that for you?
Please.
If you want that person to come to your office every day to talk to you about it, fine. I don't see any problem with that. Similar to Freeholder, you have to understand, as I'm sure you are aware, with the issue of sustainability. Sustainability is, Carl Spataro, the Economic Development Director, is under me. But he's involved with the sustainability, and he reports to you. I have no problem with that arrangement.
Actually,
you've been active in that sustainability, and it's working.
Actually, and I will say this, and I'm sure Mr. Spataro, if he is sitting here today, is he here? Yes, and Carl, I hope at the very least you do acknowledge this. When I've discussed certain things with Mr. Spataro relating to this, his comment to me is I have to report to my freeholder, who's Freeholder Rafano, and I understand that. But I only interact with him 5 or 6 times a year on applications that come in for the grants that come in. I don't deal with Carl 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, and this is a full-time responsibility through shared services. So again, I go back to you to try to understand, because I'm doing everything that I can to try to be as open-minded as I can about this, why we have to make a structural and administrative code change, and why we simply can't take an individual who you're indicating publicly is going to be doing this full-time, reporting to me each day, acknowledging can come and meet with me and work with me each day, why we simply don't slip them into the position that already exists. I don't think I really got a clear answer on that.
Because I believe, as Chairman of Finance and Administration, that the way it's set up through purchasing is a more efficient way to run that. You had a department of one.
Worked very well.
I don't believe that at this point, I think we have opportunities, and that opportunity is to reduce the size of the county workforce. The opportunity is to have a person who through purchasing, is knowledgeable of those issues involved in the purchasing, and has been active in our cooperative purchasing program. It makes sense. It makes total sense.
Well, when you talk about activity, Jack, I guess I'll ask you, just because I'm trying to understand, I'm not the person who reports to you for cooperative purchasing, and I guess that would be to Freeholder Delina currently, and I guess it was under you, Chris, prior to that? I don't know who it was under before this year. Who did purchasing fall under for the last few years prior to that?
Director.
Freeholder Director, so now it's under Freeholder Delina, under the Freeholder Delina. When you talk about the efficiency and effectiveness of it, do you know how many communities we have involved in our cooperative purchasing program? And
between communities, school boards, et cetera.
And what is the amount purchased aggregately on a monthly basis by the communities and the school districts that participate in our program?
We have a liaison person at the MCIA who would have that information.
Well, but don't we prepare that as a department?
The information, they keep the records.
Well, do we create a report at least?
We give them a report of all of the bids that are received and all of the vendors that are involved in the contracts. The MCIA people, they prepare a report, which I assume was submitted to you, which tells about all of the activity.
Well, no, I'm talking about the individual that we're trying to take now from their current position and put into what I think is an extremely important position with very, very high requirements, having done this for a long time. So I just want to understand this.
The person that is doing that right now,
Yes.
the cooperative purchasing, he has a direct contact and works hand in hand with the MCIA.
All right, but what are we getting? In other words, what information have we received as a Freeholder Board or you as a department head with respect to the accomplishments of that?
You're the liaison to that, I thought all of that information was submitted to you.
I've never received a report in 7 years.
Or have I?
Okay, well, that says a lot. So this is the kind of concerns and questions that I have about the capabilities of the individual that we're suggesting should be into this position. There's a lot of responsibility that goes involved with Shared Services Director, and I think that the board needs to think very clearly and succinctly about what type of individual, and this is not a slant at all to Mr. Boiler. I think he's a fine person, but I do recognize that there is an enormous amount of responsibility and follow-up, reporting, coordination. It's not just a case of bid specification. So I think that it is somewhat, at the very least, incorrect to suggest that just by taking someone who happens to be in purchasing and put into this position is the right thing to do. I'm all for staff reduction, and I'm willing to go along with at least the concept. But now what you're doing is you're taking an individual who does not have any responsibility or understanding of shared services, candidly questionable as to what the success has been of common purchases, and we're putting them into a division that's going to be reporting to Freeholder Delina, yet you're telling me I'm going to be responsible for them. So listen, I've made my comment. I've gotten my questions answered, perhaps the way that I expected. And I have no further questions, and I guess if the Freeholder Director wants to call for a vote, we can vote.
I would just like to say something.
I'd like to correct one thing. As you may recall, you were very much involved in the cooperative purchasing end. With the reporting, we report all of the contracts to the MCIA. As you had set it up, and you insisted on having the person at the MCIA be responsible for gathering all of the information that you had just mentioned. That was your suggestion.
Well,
That's where I thought it went.
in fact, Jack, and not to correct you, but I think that it's been, and I've asked for at least the last 5 years, and certainly haven't asked in the last 3 because we didn't get it for the first 5, for annual reporting as to what the quantities were purchased, what communities were involved. And the reason we were looking to do that, and you know this, the reason we looked to do that, and I don't understand why we weren't able to accomplish it in 8 years, the reason we were looking to do this is by knowing the quantities purchased by our communities, we would be able to develop better bid specifications, and you're aware of this, and this was also talked about by the Division of Local Government Services. The point I'm trying to make is that there is a certain amount of mechanisms and quantity that we should have been accumulating. I mean, I'll ask another question. In the last 8 years, how many meetings have we had with the communities and participants that are involved in our cooperative purchasing program? I'm not aware of any.
We've had a dialogue with the majority of them. That dialogue goes on a daily basis.
But we've
especially related to the purchases.
Right.
However, the amount that they purchased was the responsibility of the MCIA to to have those reports.
Well, then maybe we should have an MCIA person serve as shared services director. That might be a consideration at some point in the future. But anyway, I have no more questions.
I just want-
I need to say something. Not only as a freeholder, but as a former labor leader representing Middlesex County employees, I find this conversation extremely distasteful, that we're doing it in public, that you may say you think the person's suitable, but in essence, Freeholder Polish, you are not saying, you are saying and actually mentioning an employee's name. And I have to say, in all of my years, I have never, ever seen that done in public, and I find you doing it in public irresponsible. And I could say a whole list of words, but I'd like to get a ruling from council if it's even proper to discuss an employee in open like this by name and then say that he's not capable of doing the job. I mean, I've been employed since 1965 with the county. And I was going to meetings since 1965. And I have never, ever seen anything like that.
All right. And let me say this, Carol.
Hold on.
Before you answer me,
Yeah,
I
I'd
would
like to.
an answer
Hold on,
to
we
know
get
if
a-
it's
then we get an
proper
answer from,
for us to
Senator.
have this conversation.
Tommy, go
The
ahead.
discussion with respect to individuals' qualifications for a particular position, absent the consent of the employee, cannot be done in a public session, but it is in private session. The resume of an individual who is a current employee is a matter of public record, provided that the personal information is redacted from whether it's a resume or a list of qualifications. The individual can consent to having their qualifications discussed in a public meeting if they so choose. But typically, because the discussions associated with whether someone is going to be appointed to a position or to be hired are all done in closed session in order to protect the credibility of the individual and the discussion of their qualifications. But again, the person can consent.
Okay. Well, let's,
Mr.
yes, Jimmy, you have one more statement, that's it.
I just want to say this to Freeholder Barrett. I've been on this board for 12 years, and I have never, in 12 years, Freeholder, ever been put into a position by the majority of this board, in fact, by any member of this board, to have to discuss these types of issues in public. I've also not, no, I did not interrupt you. Excuse me.
Freeholder, for your own
I did not
ego,
interrupt
you
you.
beseech
I did not,
other county
I did,
employee.
Freeholder,
Please.
Freeholder Barrett, I did not interrupt you. I listened to you with patience. I've been an elected official for 28 years and a former mayor. I've been a chief executive officer, something none of you have ever been. I've worked with employees and represented them and worked with them in their unions, did negotiations, and I think I have a spotless record with those people that I've worked with over the years. I will say this. I have had conversations with you and with members of this board in executive session with respect to the process and the procedures you have employed with respect to the changes of this department. It is relatively disingenuous on your part to sit here today and be shocked by the discussions we're having in public when you have been a part of a group that have done nothing more than to force these changes upon me as chairman of the Department of Shared Services. You talk about never before have you heard this kind of conversation. I will challenge that by saying, never before in your many years of service to the county, I am sure, have you ever seen a freeholder board impose themselves into the area of another freeholder to take away a department without their consent, to change their department head without their consent, to tell them, and I did not suggest to them, to tell them who the person was going to be to their replacement, to tell them that their responsibilities have now been moved from one to another. You've done this in the majority of 7-1. You've done it without any consideration whatsoever for properness,
for what is done properly with freeholder colleagues, what has been the history of this board for more than 30 years that you've been involved. Never before, and having been involved as a local official, I saw how this board operates. Never before has a board been so direct, purposeful, I would even go so far as to say vicious, in their attempt to undermine another freeholder and to create and craft, and this has really become a work in progress over the last week because every day there's a new responsibility and a change in the way that it's been run. It is a work in progress that I think makes this entire board look foolish in its operation. These are the types of discussions that I was not privy to. And be mindful of one thing, freeholder. I was never asked or discussed with these changes. I will tell the public and remind you that when I made a recommendation to put a new department head into this position, allow me to finish. Allow me to finish, please.
All right,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's it.
I want to,
cutting you off. That's
Freeholder
it.
Director, I'd like to just finish one point.
That's it.
Freeholder Director, with your
Both of
permission,
you, that's
I'd like
it.
to, if I would make,
That's the
can I
end of
just
the,
finish?
discussion.
I would just like to finish my one thought.
Let's go.
When
That's the
I
end of the
first,
discussion, please. That's it.
very well, Director.
I'm shocked you people don't want to listen.
And I want
When
to
you're
say,
out of order, both of you are out of order. That's it. That's the end of it. What's the next thing?
Freeholder Director, I believe there was a motion and a second to add the resolution to amend the administrative code. There would need to be a roll call vote in order
We need a
for this
motion.
resolution to be added to the consent agenda.
We need a motion. Motion.
There was a
was
motion.
a motion.
Was a
We have a
motion,
motion and
okay.
a second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Freeholder Barrett,
Yes.
Freeholder Polos,
no.
Freeholder Rafano,
Yes.
Freeholder Rios,
Yes.
Freeholder Scott,
Yes.
Freeholder Valenti,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Delina.
Yes.
The next resolution proposed for addition would be changes in the personnel as per list dated December 3rd, 2009. This is with regard to the appointment of the individual as the Shared Services Coordinator as per the previous discussion.
Need a motion.
Motion.
Motion
Second.
by Rafano, second by Blanquita.
No.
No, it was me.
Okay, Carol Barrett. Boy, you want your name mentioned a lot, huh?
Yeah.
All right, good.
I don't
Roll call vote.
Freeholder Barrett,
Yes.
Freeholder Polos,
Mark, I'm sorry that you've been put in the middle of a politically distasteful situation, and so my apologies to you for that. But I need to do what I think is right for the people of the county, and I have to vote no.
Freeholder Rafano,
Yes, and we feel as though we're doing the right thing for the people of Middlesex County.
Freeholder Rios,
I received 2 resumes for this position, and I feel very comfortable in making this decision. I think the gentleman has worked for the county. He's proven himself. I have no problem voting for this gentleman, and I have no problem voting for the way this whole administrative code is going to be changed as well. But as far as our employee here, he's been involved with purchasing and cooperative purchasing, and he's been a specification writer, and I vote yes.
Freeholder Scott,
Yes.
Freeholder Valenti,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Delina.
Yes. Okay. next
Freeholder
is-
Director, the first add-on would be Resolution Number 09-2160, and the second with regard to the personnel report would be Resolution 09-2161.
I need a motion.
No, we just did that.
You just did that, okay.
The next, we do have one resolution to be held, and that's Resolution 09-2159. This is the
Okay.
resolution with regard to the execution and agreement of an interlocal agreement with the Township of North Brunswick for the temporary assignment of the Director of Economic and Industrial Development to work with Middlesex County Green Economic Development Zone Committee and all other green initiatives. We have not been able to confirm with the Township of North Brunswick their agreement with respect to the ultimate assignment of this individual as well as the terms of the proposed interlocal agreement. Our recommendation is to hold it for 2 weeks.
Hold it.
To hold it for 2 weeks.
We don't need a motion.
I think we should do a,
We have a motion on to hold it?
yes, Freeholder
Motion.
Rios.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Carol Barrett. Roll call vote.
Freeholder Barrett,
Yes.
Freeholder Polos,
Yes.
Freeholder Rafano,
Yes.
Freeholder Rios,
Yes.
Freeholder Scott,
Yes.
Freeholder Valenti,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Delina.
Yes.
Resolutions to be voided.
Huh?
There are no resolutions
No
to be
resolution.
voided as well.
No resolutions, okay. Okay, now we'll open the Open to public discussion. Anybody have anything
The agenda.
on the agenda? Anybody would like to speak on the agenda? Anybody? Motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Moved
Second.
by Rios, second by Carol Barrett. Roll call vote.
Freeholder Barrett.
Yes.
Freeholder Polos.
Yes.
Freeholder Rafano.
Yes.
Freeholder Rios.
Yes.
Freeholder Scott.
Yes.
Freeholder Valenti.
Yes.
Freeholder Director Delina.
Is any freeholder resolution that they wish to remove from the consent agenda and vote separately?
Yes, I do, Freeholder Director. I have three. 092152,
2-1, what?
2152, 092153, and 092154. That's it.
I have one.
You have one? Okay, Mr. Rufano?
092090.
Okay, Mr. Attorney, we need a resolution. We need a-
Just as a matter of procedure, Freeholder Polis.
I have two, 2160 and 2161. Thank you.
Which one?
Yeah. 2160 and 2161, the two add-ons.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, read them off.
Yes, a motion would be in order, Freeholder Director, to adopt the consent agenda consisting of resolutions number 09-2076 through 09-2161, including none previously held, but excluding Resolution 09-2159 to be held, and Resolutions 09-2152, 09-2153, 09-2154, 09-2090, 09-2160, and 09-2161 to be voted upon separately.
Okay. So
We
there's
need a
no
motion?
resolution.
Need
being
a
voted.
motion?
Need a motion.
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Rufano, second by
Blanca.
Rios. Roll call vote.
Freeholder Barrett.
Yes.
Freeholder Polos.
Yes.
Freeholder Rafano.
Yes.
Freeholder Rios.
Yes.
Freeholder Scott.
Yes.
Freeholder Valenti.
Yes.
Freeholder Director Delina.
Yes.
Now, Freeholder Director, it would be appropriate to consider the resolutions which were set aside by Freeholder Valenti, and those are Resolutions 09-2152, 09-2153, and 09-2154.
They'd be voted separately, right?
Yes, we need a motion.
I
and
need a motion. Motion by Rufano,
Second.
second by Carol Barrett.
No, Rios.
Roll call vote.
Freeholder Barrett.
Yes.
Freeholder Polos.
Yes.
Freeholder Rafano.
Yes.
Freeholder Rios.
Yes.
Freeholder Scott.
Yes.
Freeholder Valenti.
Present, not voting.
Freeholder Director Delina.
Yes.
Next, it would be appropriate to consider the resolution that was separated by Freeholder Rafano, and that's Resolution 09-2090.
Motion.
So moved.
Motion by Rios, second by Blanquita Valenti. Roll call vote.
Freeholder Barrett.
Yes.
Freeholder Polos.
Yes.
Freeholder Rafano.
Present not voting.
Freeholder Rios.
Yes.
Freeholder Scott.
Yes.
Freeholder Valenti.
Yes.
Freeholder Director Delina.
Yes.
And finally, it would be appropriate now to consider the two resolutions which were set aside by Freeholder Polis. Those are Resolutions 09-2160 and 09-2161.
Motion.
So moved.
Motion by Rios, second by Blanquita Valenti. Roll call.
Freeholder Barrett.
Yes.
Freeholder Polos.
No.
Freeholder Rafano.
Yes.
Freeholder Rios.
Yes.
Freeholder Scott.
Yes.
Freeholder Valenti.
Yes.
Freeholder Director Delina.
Yes. Okay, at this time, I'd like to have a motion to open up the public hearing on any business from the Freeholder Board here. Anybody? Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
Yeah, you could,
No. Anything.
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 on anything, no? Okay.
It's the last chance.
This is your last chance.
You can only say 2 words, that's all. Remember that. Say hello and goodbye.
I'm so happy I came here. I didn't know that all of you were alive, but showed you have a little life in you. Richard Stewart, 90 Nielsen Street. I'm interested in page 3, Resolution 2099 and 2102. We're talking about home-delivered meals
Right.
here. And in the one instance, we're talking about home-delivered meals on weekends and holidays.
And what's the...
And it's the Jewish family and vocational. Is that only something available to Jewish families?
It's, what do you mean, the type of meal or the delivery?
No,
we
the
can-
delivery, yeah.
That's for, no, it includes other people, not in this resolution, but in subsequent resolutions, people who are homebound, who have nobody else to reach out to them. And they are people that are
It's my
qualified for that.
understanding that, generally speaking, like the people in my building, they don't get Saturday and Sunday service.
Well, do they request it? Or is there a reason why they would need that?
I don't think it's offered.
I don't know. Beck Chester?
Thank you, Nancy.
I think there's an explanation that needs to be made for the fact that we receive funding that is to be provided for weekend meals, and the way that the county operates is that that goes out for a bid process. So anyone who responds to the bid and meets the bid specifications can provide those meals, and Jewish Family Services has done that. So that's how they are weighing theirs and are getting a contract.
Okay, now how does that fit in with the people in my building? The meals are being provided by the Piscataway County.
That's a county-operated group, and we provide our meals one way, and we also provide meals through regular agencies, not just Jewish Family Services, and several other organizations who bid for weekend or weekday meals.
Oh, man. In other words, an application for bids goes out for the people in my building and others.
It goes out for the provisions of meals regardless of where they live.
7 days a week?
There are some agencies that only provide 5 days a week, and there are some agencies that may bid on a separate weekend provision of meals.
I'm just, it seems like there's something missing out there, because I suspect there are people in my building that could use Saturday. They get 5 days a week. And I'm surprised that they, what effort is made to get.
Well, one of the provisions is they have to be homebound. So individuals who can get out and about would be eligible for meals. So if they were homebound, then they should call my office and we'll connect them to the right agency.
They're getting the meals 5 days a week. But I don't think they have been offered. I'll try to check with some of them, because something seems to be missing there, in my opinion. Page 9.
Page 9?
Yes. This 2147, and then there are some more over on the next page, I believe. Is this a change, or is this just a new bidding thing on these access cards?
Where's Carl? Carl?
It's not a new bidding thing. On the parking, it's the same rate as last year. It's just we have a four-year contract with them. This is the next 4-year contract. It's the same price.
Okay, so that's no particular change there. All right, thank you.
Time.
Time, okay. Time is up.
Wait a minute.
wait a
This
minute.
isn't public comment.
No.
We never had anything on
I
the
gave you-
agenda.
I
Did
gave
you
you
eliminate?
We went right,
You went right by.
You missed it.
You missed it.
Well,
gave
that
you
was
2
because
extra
I
minutes.
was watching the fun.
Why don't you be finished now, then we'll give you 2 minutes next time.
Okay, I can find out from Freeholder Scott the answer to this, since you want to keep it
Which
away
freeholder
from,
you look-
you want to keep it away from the public.
Now, which freeholder are you looking for?
Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Anybody else would like to speak? Motion to close the public hearing. Motion by Mr., what's your name again? Rios and Rufano. Motion and seconded by Rufano. Everybody, roll call vote.
Freeholder Barrett,
Yes.
Freeholder Polos,
Yes.
Freeholder Rufano,
Yes.
Freeholder Rios.
Yes.
Freeholder Scott. Yes. Freeholder Valenti,
Yes.
Freeholder Director Delina.
Yes. Yes. Motion to close the public hearing? Motion to go.
Motion to adjourn.
Adjourn. All right.
So moved.
Made by
Second.
Rios, seconded by Carol Barrett. Quick,